When people ask me about what is the best elephant experience here in Thailand, I've always struggled to give a good answer until now. My name is Paddy Doyle. I've lived and traveled around Thailand for over 10 years, and I finally visited one of the most well-known elephant sanctuaries in Thailand. I went to the Elephant Nature Park in Chiang Mai. It's known as one of the most ethical sanctuaries in Thailand, and in today's video I wanted to share my experience when I went to visit the nature park and give you some conclusions at the end. If you or someone you know is thinking about visiting an elephant sanctuary or having an ethical elephant experience in Thailand, then share this video with them because you might find it useful. The Elephant Nature Park was founded in the 1990s by Lek, a pioneering Thai conservationist who began rescuing injured and neglected elephants in northern Thailand. The nature park is massive. It's over 250 acres and has 100 rescued elephants, many of them elderly, disabled, or traumatized from past abuse within the logging, tourism, and entertainment sectors. The Elephant Nature Park operates on a model that prioritizes elephant welfare over entertainment. So there's absolutely no riding, no bathing, or any forced performances, and their main source of income comes from visitors like myself who come here on day trips or on the volunteer programs or even overnight stays. After doing my own research and talking to lots of travelers from over many years here in Thailand, this place comes up again and again as one of the most ethical elephant experiences you can have in Thailand. So now that you know a little bit about how the park was started and who by, let's get into the experience itself. Now there are many different types of tours you can do. I chose to do the half-day afternoon tour. It was 2,500 Thai baht and it did include a free pickup from Chiang Mai. However, I had my own motorcycle and I was staying nearby, so I actually just made my own way there on my motorbike, parked up at the nature park itself, and began the tour on my own. So before I share with you my overall thoughts about the nature park and if you should go or not, let's just actually go through quite quickly how my half-day tour unfolded, what you can expect to see and experience if you go on a half-day tour, and then yeah, we'll meet back here and talk about what we think. So like I said, I drove to the park on my motorcycle and there was a staff member on the front gate and he helped me into the park and showed me where to park my motorcycle. It was right near reception, but actually on the way into the park and on the way to the parking itself, I was actually seeing elephants all over the place, including a giant elephant that obviously must have some sort of former injury, and it walked right past me. And at that moment, I realized we were going to be getting a lot closer to the elephants than I thought. Then I went to reception and I met someone who signed me in and told me where to go, and I went into the main common area. That's where I saw a lot of the PR and marketing information about the owners and the history of the nature park and some of its famous benefactors and donators, both in the celebrity world and in the political realm as well, which was quite interesting. Then they have this big holding area with lots of tables. There's a little cafe, you can get drinks. I got myself a nice little lemon iced tea. There's also a gift shop, and I'm sure all of the proceeds help to go towards helping the elephants and run the nature park. But it wasn't really what I was expecting, because we could see the elephants right from where we were kind of waiting for the rest of the groups to arrive. And a few of the groups had already gone out to go explore with their guides. And you are visibly going to see the elephants, and you can see that you're going to get very up close and personal with the elephants, because you can just see the other tours walking very close by to the elephants, which is not what I had expected because of the videos and clips that I had seen on the nature park's Instagram pages. For example, there's lots of beautiful videos sharing the experiences, sharing the elephant behaviors in the nature park, but you never see in the material that I saw on Instagram anyway, you never see the day tours or the half-day tours and the guests and the tourists like myself visiting the parks and how close they actually are. Because according to the material online anyway, I thought I would need a long lens to observe and to photograph and to video the elephants from a distance. But actually, as you'll see, we got very close indeed.
She's the biggest one.
There were around 5 or 6 other half-day tours going on at the same time. Each tour had their own guide. We had a really great guide and he was very knowledgeable. But what happened was all of the groups kind of went out together into the paddock, into the nature park itself, and we all kind of went off into our own directions with our own guides to go and look and hang out with the elephants who were all out there feeding, hanging out, just being elephants. However, at this point, I thought because I'd gone to get a drink, I must have missed some kind of briefing because we were already out onto the park itself. And I was a little bit confused. Could we get close to the elephants? Were the elephants allowed to touch us? Could we touch the elephants? I wasn't planning to, but what were the rules? I didn't know what was going on.
I don't know if I missed the briefing, but I'm a bit confused, but I'm having a great time.
What we should or shouldn't do. I thought I'd missed an important safety briefing and sort of what you can and what you can't do briefing type of thing. But apparently there wasn't one because I asked a couple in the group with me, I said, was there a briefing? Like, what are the rules? And they said, no, there was no briefing. We just got walked straight into the nature park, which is fine. I've got common sense. You know, you're not supposed to touch and feed the elephants, of course. But some people don't have common sense, right? There might be children and there might be some confusion involved from certain people. And I think it would be better if we got told, don't do this, don't do that, be careful of this. Even though the guide was great and it was quite obvious what you should and shouldn't do, sometimes it's good to set boundaries so everyone knows what you can and what you can't do. And yeah, at this point, we were just enjoying watching the elephants feeding and we were learning from our guide some of the individual stories behind the elephants themselves. Obviously, all of the elephants here at this nature park have gone through physical or mental abuse, or both, sadly. And the guide was great at telling us where the elephants had come from, what type of trauma they had gone through, whether they had come from the circus, whether they had come from the logging industry, or working in tourism, or just doing elephant riding at a nearby sanctuary, right? Because we'll get onto this later, but the word sanctuary does get thrown around quite a lot in Thailand. And yes, we had learned that some of these elephants had come from other elephant sanctuaries where actually they had been forced to do elephant riding and bathing and that type of things. And so it was interesting to learn all of the different individual cases. Some of them are very sad and shocking. You could see visible injuries from past explosions of landmines or physical torture and things like that, or injury. But that being said, as sad as those stories were, it was great to see them bouncing back, making friends, having their own space, no chains involved, no riding, no physical or mental torture. They were just happy to be eating with their friends, walking around, and just providing us as guests a great way to see the elephants up close, take pictures of them, and just be in their presence was really lovely. And that was pretty much the entire half-day tour. It was 2 hours of us walking slowly around most of the grounds of the nature park, going into the middle, going along the river, going to the other side, and just walking as a group with our guide for about 2 hours. After the 2 hours of walking around, exploring and seeing the elephants, we went back to the main building where they put on food for the group. They had vegetarian, vegan options, they had meat options, fruit and drinks to have, and that was all part of the ticket price. I personally didn't eat the food, I just had a handful of fruit because I had dinner plans later and it was already coming up to 5 o'clock. Our guide told us to relax and eat the food, and in half an hour we would do another activity. It was basically, I think we were going to go to a other viewing platform just to view the elephants in the afternoon from somewhere else for another half an hour to an hour, because this half-day tour is only about 3.5 hours long. But by that time, I think I'd had my fill of the experience. I'd seen the elephants. I was quite tired from being out in the sun for 2 hours, walking around exploring. And I did have plans, and I was staying nearby, as I mentioned before. And because I didn't need to wait for a bus or a van to take me back to Chiang Mai with the rest of the group, I was able to just jump on my motorbike and leave. And so that basically was my experience. So now let's talk about some of the positives of the experience, and then some of the things that I thought were interesting and that I think you should know. So obviously the elephants are extremely well taken care of and loved by all of the staff, the owners, and everyone involved at the nature park. It is clear to see that are from all of the elephant experiences in northern Thailand especially, this one seemed to be the one with the most space, the most area for the elephants to roam and do natural behaviors while still being fully taken care of, because at the end of the day, these elephants don't really have the skills to take care of themselves out in nature. Of course, there was no riding, there was no shows, there was no bathing. Yes, there was one particular moment when one of the elephants went into the river, and its kind of full-time carer, there was a man who takes care of that one particular elephant by itself most of the day, because that particular elephant has some behavioral issues and it's very scared of other elephants, and it trusts this one man very highly. So he followed the elephant into the river, and they were playing with buckets of water and things. It might not seem that much of a natural experience or a natural behavior, but that particular elephant instigated the whole thing. It wasn't the man dragging the elephant to the river to show us how great it was to be in the river with the elephant. Obviously, that would be a forced behavior. This was just the elephant doing its thing and its carer following him into the river. So because of that, you should know that the elephants here are being given enough space. And yes, some of the elephants don't like other elephants, and there is a little bit of hoo-ha and there's a little bit of territorial behavior between them. There's a few that will chase others away, but it's all natural. Elephants would probably do that in the wild. And at the end of the day, there are 100 elephants or so in this nature park sharing a huge space of land. But these are big animals, so they are going to fight a little bit. So that was kind of expected as well, to be honest. It was also really nice to hear the stories from the guides about the rescues themselves and how the elephants are brought to the nature park, taken care of, and some of the stories are really touching. And of course, the education and the awareness that this entire project brings to the world through social media and through people visiting in person is nothing but a good thing for the elephants of Thailand. But here are some other things that I think are interesting and that you should know about the nature park before you come. So there is a lot of standing around and walking outdoors, which you would expect, okay? But I didn't know we were going to be walking on the grounds of the nature park itself. I thought we would maybe be in towers, in lookout points, and there would be walking involved, but we were just standing and walking around for 2 hours. Now, luckily, it was cloudy, but it was still very hot, and it was in the afternoon. So if it was a bright, hot, sunny day, you would definitely get very hot. You would need a hat, sun cream, you would need an umbrella to stay out of the sun. And of course, if it was raining, the same thing applies. You would get absolutely soaked. You are standing next to the elephants, with the elephants, in the sun, in the rain, in the cloud, whatever the weather is, you are going to have to be prepared. Standing and walking for 2 hours in any temperature is quite fatiguing. This was extremely fatiguing and I was very tired. And it was one of the reasons why I was happy to leave after the 2 hours of the first part of the tour. There was a lot of noise and distractions going on within the valley where the nature park is. Now, basically the nature park is on a huge plot of land in a gorgeous valley, and there is a river that goes through the entire nature park. However, the surrounding regions are used for bamboo rafting and other activities. We saw tipsy tubing. We saw travelers going down with coolers, with beers, floating down, enjoying their day. We saw lots of tours of quad bikers who made an absolute racket. And so one moment you're enjoying being with the elephants, and then the next there is a huge troop of noisy quad bikers on the other side of the river going into the jungle, making an absolute racket. And it definitely puts a spanner in the works when you're thinking of the word sanctuary, right? It definitely breaks that vibe and that aesthetic during that time. And at one point there was 2 quad bike tours that met up with each other. They all took pictures of the elephants from the other side of the river, and then they all noisily drove back into the forest. So just be aware, at times there are a lot of people getting to see the elephants from their quad bike tours, from their bamboo rafting, or tipsy tubing. And upon reflection, the final thing that I really learned the most about was the true meaning of the word sanctuary. Now, the Elephant Nature Park doesn't use the word sanctuary in its name for a reason, because there really is no such thing as a sanctuary when it comes to elephants other than a national park. Here in Thailand, there are 2 or 3 huge national parks that have populations of wild elephants. There are dozens of national parks, but only a few actually have wild elephants that live in them. Khao Yai is one of them. And I've been to Khao Yai National Park 3 or 4 times and never seen any of the elephants because they live wild. They live in the forests. They sometimes cross the streets. They sometimes go into the pastures where people can see them. And those moments are very magical and shared on Instagram and social media like wildfire because they're so rare. So they are really, truly the only ethical or proper sanctuaries for elephants because these are wild. But now we're in the modern world and tourism is so popular and social media is so powerful, a lot of people have now learned that the true nasty nature of elephant riding and the training involved and the torture involved to get elephants to accept a human riding on their back, we all know, thankfully, most of us know, that it's terrible and that elephant riding should never be promoted or encouraged. And here in Thailand, what a lot of the elephant riding places did was they stopped doing elephant riding and they turned it into an elephant sanctuary. The word sanctuary gets used a lot. So because these elephants can't live wild and they lack survival skills, they need to be in places like these. But just ask yourself a question. If you see marketing material for this sanctuary that you want to go to, if you see any riding there, or if you see any bathing or any forced activities part of an itinerary, then those elephants are still at work. They're still working elephants. And the answer should be, go visit the wild elephants in the national parks. Of course, you should know the chances of seeing them are very small. Or go to the Elephant Nature Park in Chiang Mai and see them in the best situation that they could possibly be in, given the fact that they don't have the survival skills or instincts to take care of themselves in nature. So have you been to the Elephant Nature Park? Would you visit? Let me know in the comments below about your experience there. Overall, I thought the experience was very positive. They are doing a fantastic job taking care of all of those elephants and the buffaloes and the cats and the dogs. You'll learn all about that when you go. Thanks again for watching, and I hope you found this video useful. Subscribe to my channel if you want to learn more about Thailand. I've been to every single province and most of the islands. And yeah, this channel is turning into an encyclopedia of all of the best places, and in this video, experiences that you should try out when you come to this beautiful country.